Welcome to Mindful Talk, brief conversations about mindfulness in the workplace and at home. I am your host, Lauren Wessinger.
And I'm your host, Misti Anderson. And this podcast is brought to you by the Mindful Project.
The Mindful Project helps you elevate the culture of your business by bringing mindfulness practice to you and your staff through in-person and virtual learning. Contact us through our website, themindfulproject.co, for more information. Welcome back to Mindful Talk. Today, Misti and I are here together talking about adventures and spontaneity.
I am super happy to be here and talking about this because it has been, quite honestly, a big worry of mine since the pandemic started. And I've discussed that before with you guys about, the one thing I always kind of prided myself on was I was the friend or the person that if something was going on in your life and, you needed a break or you wanted to get away, I was that person you called because I'm spontaneous. And as we moved through the pandemic, I just felt like so much of that was sucked away. And I know there's a lot of people that feel that way. And the spontaneity and the adventure and just the ability to have fun, just fun. So I'm really glad to talk about this topic because I have a feeling there's a lot of people in this boat.
Gosh, I remember when we lived in Phoenix. I mean, I know this all changes for some people once they have kids, but before we had kids, we would work on a Friday and then be like, let's go to Vegas for the weekend. Let's go to LA for the weekend. And it was back when Southwest was like $39 each way from Phoenix to Vegas or San Diego or LA. And we would just hop on the plane, go to the airport, pop over for the weekend and come back and then do it all over again. I mean, carefree,
And so what you described is so true. And now we're faced with, there's so many steps and barriers from your front door to where you're going. And it's like, as soon as I think about, oh, let's do this, then I'm like, oh my gosh, then I got to do this. And I'm trying to reprogram my brain to just embrace the unknown because there's so much unknown right now. And we just kind of have to go back in it,
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite honestly like really scary. But I think it's sometimes like for me, it's something I've been really trying to push myself on. Like a good example is my girlfriend just got a new apartment in New York City. And it's like a extra home for them. And she gave us the keys while we were living up here in Jersey. And normally I would, I say normally, pandemic Misti would be a little, nervous about leaving here and letting the girls be here and how's home going to go and what do I do there and where can I eat and do I wear my mask and do I have to show my vaccine card and all of that. And one day I was just feeling really burned out and I was talking to my friend and she said, go to the apartment. And I was like, you know what? Yes, I don't know how everybody's going to work it out tomorrow. I don't know how everybody's going to get to school. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going and I'm doing this for me. And gosh darn it, I did it. And it was wonderful and so needed. And that little mindfulness practice that I needed to tell my brain, you know how to do this. You know how to be adventurous. You know how to be spontaneous. So roll with it. And I feel like it's a muscle, just like anything else that you kind of have to flex.
Totally. You have to practice that, right?
Yeah.
And especially like you were saying, I mean, the past couple of years have really pulled that rug out from underneath us of doing anything last minute. But just like anything, spontaneity and adventure is a practice. And if we don't practice being spontaneous and going on adventures, the groove in our brain of not doing it and of staying close to home and staying fearful just gets deeper and stronger. I love that so much. I'm so glad you did your spontaneous trip to the city. You could even do it, say you live in an area where you have hikes nearby. or just any kind of outdoor activity, you don't have to pack a lunch. You don't have to do this and that. Just get in your car and go for an hour without planning much. Bring your water and your cell phone and you're good. But I think sometimes we just over plan things to death. And I do know that over planning is a trauma response because we want to feel that we have total control over the situation. We want to feel that we're completely prepared. But the reality is that we're never completely prepared and we never have control over anything. And we can kind of put our toe in the water a little bit and get a little more comfortable with risk, honestly, by just getting in the car and going and do something. It doesn't have to be tell 10 people you're going to be there. It doesn't have to be, pack food for 3 days. And, I think we've sort of gotten to this place where for some people, not everybody, of course, but everything's such a big hassle,
That's as you were saying that's what was forming in my mind. Like, gas is expensive and flying is like double the price. And then there's COVID stuff. And it's like everything is like, it's carrying all this baggage. And so I think for me, one of the things I really want to focus on is trying to create smaller ways that I can be spontaneous and adventurous. Just little things like on the norm, my kids come home and we, just do our homework and then we have a couple hours of playtime and then we do dinner. Spontaneously saying, it's nice weather, let's go to the park after school. That's not a great big thing, but we did this yesterday. They get so excited. It's like, whoa, mom's cool. I feel spontaneous and because they're excited and it fills that little bucket up just a little bit. Whereas I don't even know, 6 months ago, I would have probably driven by the park or thought about it, but not really done anything about it. And I'm really trying to consciously push myself to do a little bit more because you're right. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It can be as spontaneous as I feel like I need to get outside and you go out the door and you walk. You have no destination. You have no time. You have no earphones. You just go. I think that is like a very freeing feeling because what ends up happening to me when I do that is I walk for quite a while and I kind of ruminate and think about things. And sometimes I get creative. So there's a lot of good things that come from small spontaneity and adventure.
It does sound very freeing. Before you said that word, I was like, oh, that feels so freeing when I was imagining myself do that.
Right? Because it's like the one thing that you can go and do that you don't have to carry all that baggage you were talking about, And so if that's something that interests you, hiking is so fun. And it's such a great thing to do with your family too. You can walk out a lot of places and find a trail or somewhere to hike. There's a lot of great things to do in nature that I feel like fill that adventure bucket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you live near a lake or the beach, get out toward the water. And the experiences that really imprint in our memory are ones that feel novel, that feel kind of surprisingly out of the blue, for better or for worse. So say something really scary happens to you, that's totally novel. You were surprised into total presence because of that scary thing, and you remember it forever. Like it just imprints in your memory. But it's the same thing with positive experiences that are surprising. So for adults, it's a little more planned because we have to get in the car and go there. But for your kids, that surprising, fun, novel experience is actually imprinting in their memory of a positive time. And so it's not just something fun to do, as we know, it's something that's actually really, really important for the health of our nervous system.
That's so cool. And I think it goes to speak to, I know a lot of parents struggle with well, my kids are bored and I need to fill their calendar and we need to go to this festival and we need to go bowling. And I try to back off all of that. And I try to be spontaneous for free, to be honest, for free, and what can fit in nicely that's not taking up all of our time, because I really believe in a lot of free time. I feel like so much of our time is scheduled with school and work and all that stuff. So when we're home, I like to leave it free. Mm-hmm. But for a couple of hours, let's do this. And it's not a big thing. when I talk to my kids, like when they talk about fun things, they bring up the most random things that we were doing. And it was usually something outside or we were going somewhere all together, but it's never been like Disney World. They don't remember it. Do you know how much I slept at Disney World? They don't remember it. So it's little bitty spontaneity and adventurous things that you're right, stick in their heads.
I even think about people that that work full-time job. Say you work 8 to 5 or 8 to 6. For me, when I was working that kind of schedule, it felt spontaneous to go have a nice lunch at a trendy
Yes.
restaurant. Like even some days I will have brought my lunch because I brought it most days because when I was working that kind of schedule, it was Arizona and it was just too hot in the summer to go out, honestly. But some days I would even have brought my lunch and decide, you know what? I'm going to go have a really nice meal, maybe by myself or with a coworker. And that felt spontaneous in the day. And it felt totally rebellious because I had brought my lunch and like, oh my gosh, I'm not eating it. But there's something about it that just feels a little more elevated.
Yeah.
That little like last minute decision to go do something different or to even go walk around, say you are a member at a museum. I mean, take your full hour of lunch and go walk around the museum for 30 minutes. I mean, what an experience to get you out of your work day and your work head and go look at something completely opposite.
Those are really good suggestions. And you're right. We get to experience all that because we work from home. And so we incorporate that all in our day. But you're absolutely right about there are ways that you can add spontaneity to your day without it like disrupting anything or being a big deal. And I love the idea of treating yourself to a meal because that's like, or just like if you don't get coffee every single day, getting coffee for yourself one day and like maybe waking up a little earlier so you can sit and enjoy it and do something, look at Instagram if that's what you enjoy, whatever it
Totally.
is. Like you have an extra 10 minutes that makes you feel like you did something spontaneous and out of the norm. And those little bitty things, they add up and they start making you more confident, I feel like. And I feel like I'm right there with you. I'm getting my confidence back right now in myself and my ability to be spontaneous. We have a lot of changes right now and it's an adventure. It's the biggest adventure I've ever been on. My instincts tell me to just ride the wave, ride it, say yes a lot, and see what happens. And so that's what I'm doing. And trust me, a year ago, Misty would have been like, okay, this is no bueno. We need a house address. I need a job, and that's not the case right now. Doors are opening as they should, and we're moving with it. And it's an adventure, and I'm just going with it. So I feel like those little bitty things I've done have helped me get to this place where I'm able to do that. And so if you feel like, gosh, I could never just, go with the flow like that or whatever, those little bitty ways that like having lunch by yourself and going for a walk spontaneously, those add up in the bank, just like mindfulness. And they start to tell your brain, you can do this. And so we don't have all the answers right now. So you're going to let it go.
And sometimes we have that voice in our head that's like, oh, you're too busy to do that. That doesn't apply to you, self. But it actually does. I mean, it's just a choice for most people, maybe not all lines of work, of course, but to take 10 minutes, to go grab a coffee. I mean, mandated, there has to be breaks and lunch breaks. It's just by law. And so sometimes it's being like, okay, this thing on my to-do list, I'm actually not going to do it because I need to take care of myself and I need to change my environment for a second and do something that I didn't plan to do. And it's so rejuvenating that maybe you come back and you can actually knock that thing off your to-do list anyway, because you have a little more energy and space and clarity. There's
Yeah.
a really interesting, I wish I knew what it was called, but I just thought of it right now and didn't think to look it up. We can only work in 90-minute cycles, all humans. There's something built in. It's similar to our circadian rhythm, but it's a different kind of rhythm where we only have full presence and attention and energy on one task or one job, anything we're doing for 90 minutes. And after that, significantly our quality of work reduces. I mean, significantly. And so knowing that and working with the rhythm of your body, depending on your job, I mean, we all have different situations, and I really get that. But what's something spontaneous you could do for 5 minutes? Like after working 90 minutes, do you have 5 minutes to just step outside and get in the sun? Or get a coffee, get some kind of snack, whatever it is.
Go sit in your car and listen to music.
Yeah.
Do you know I used to do that? I needed like different sounds and people talking all day, and I needed something different. And I would go sit in my car. I love to sit in my car.
I used to work my first job out of college. It was like my hours were like 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. and it was 30 miles from where I lived. And so I was obviously socializing heavily at 22 years old, 23, and then, getting up at 5 for work. I used to go nap in my car at lunch.
Yeah.
Every day.
When I was a sales rep, I always napped in my car during lunch if I had a lunch free.
Yeah.
It's a quiet place to go.
Yeah,
and
it's nice.
So hey, there's a spontaneous thing. If you're feeling kind of down or slow and lethargic, go take you a little 30-minute nap in your car.
Take your nap.
It's like the
shade,
bitty thing.
Car in the shade.
Yeah. So I wanted to share about, we just got back from Vegas. So my husband, for those of you who don't know, he just retired from the military. And so we had a big ceremony for him. And then we went away for a week and we went to Vegas. And it was really surprising me that my husband picked it. He's like I don't know, he seems fancier than me. So Vegas just didn't seem like him. But you know what he said when I asked him? We need fun, like fun, real fun. We've laid on beaches and we've relaxed and we've done yoga and we've recouped. We need fun. And I'm like, okay, I'm down with this. And so it kind of set the tone from the very beginning. This was a couple of months ago when we planned it. And I come in and I'm like, so babe, I've got like sweatpants and some sweatpants and some sweatshirts and more sweatpants. You can't necessarily wear all that in Vegas. And so he's so darling. He went on that Shein app, which is like super inexpensive clothing, and you can get like a lot of dress up clothes. He's bought me like a bunch of new things to wear. It was like maybe $100, had it all shipped here. And he was like, do you feel pretty? And I was like, I do. I feel like fun and adventurous again. And so it's crazy because that probably sounds really vain, but I mean, I know there's people out there, like, you've been in sweatpants for 2 years. I have too. I'm in sweatpants right now. So it all of a sudden kicked it up a notch for me. So the lesson learned there is get out of your sweatpants. Maybe that will help you feel spontaneous and adventurous, because it's true. Like, you get in that dun, 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 dun. We just do our day in and day out, and you don't really change. And we've talked about this before. Like, if you want to feel really good, like, put something nice on, do your makeup. I was doing my makeup, my hair. I just wasn't completing the package. So I got the new clothes. So that made me super excited. And I didn't really plan any of the trip, which is not usually the case. It's the other way around. So that was like a whole new thing for me. Again, telling my brain, my husband's smart. He knows what I like. We'll be fine. It's fine. So we got there. He had a dinner every night planned for us. We went to 2 shows. We had massages. We did all of the things, and it was absolutely wonderful. And we laughed more than we've laughed in like definitely the last 2 years. And he looked at me right before we were going to leave, and he was like, you are so fun. Because I've been saying, I'm not fun. I'm not fun. He's like, you're so fun. I was like, you're fun too. And we started laughing of how silly we were being, but it felt so good to just remember, because we had been so squashed by life and the pandemic and kids and just life. And to peel that back, look and feel good about ourselves and be spontaneous, because there was a lot of things along the way that weren't planned that he had done. And we just kind of walked into it and experienced it. And then there's no clocks there, which is great. So it could be midnight or 2 p.m. And we just kind of did our thing. And it was just really, really, really good. And we came back like very, very strong, obviously, because if you travel with your partner, it's a good thing. It builds your relationship up. But it also made us really confident for this next adventure that we're facing. And we know that we can roll with the punches and we can figure it out. We've got an iPhone. Our flights were canceled. We figured it all out. And you will, it's like, but you have to start believing in yourself. So
I love it. I love it so much. I was so loving just seeing your pool pictures, and no, you can
yes.
never post too many lying at the pool pictures.
Oh, it feels so good. The
Yeah.
sun and I'm like, oh, please don't give me cancer, but this feels so
I
good.
know.
Yeah, it
I
was
love
really
it. I
great.
mean, traveling with your partner, if you don't have a partner, call a friend who likes to travel and
Yes.
plan something now. Get it on the calendar, even if it's like later this year, and just say, hey, do you want to go here for a long weekend, and plan it?
Yeah.
I
And it
think
doesn't have to
that's
be
also,
far. It doesn't have to be
no.
expensive. It's just something to shake it up
Yeah.
and remember that you are fun. So don't
Right.
go there and like we set bound, like we're not going to like talk about Colorado and like life. We're not going to talk about the kids. We're buried in Misty. Like, talk to me about things in your, like you, just about you. And you set those boundaries with your friend. We're
Yeah.
not going to talk about all our struggles and how much COVID sucks and blah, blah, blah. We're going to talk about what are our dreams? What are we hoping for? What do we want to do right now? What do you enjoy? Like, there's so many things. And I feel like it's really easy to get bogged down. I'm in the same boat. And I feel like that kind of freed me up. So this conversation came at a great time because I feel like I'm a more open vessel for fun and adventure than I was
I
before.
love it.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
So I hope that inspired some people because when I talk to my friends about their travels, it always inspires me. And I usually go back and start looking at the calendar to
Mm-hmm.
figure out when I can do something. And
Mm-hmm.
again, it's something. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be, it can be one night. And that's what I did when I went to the city. It was one night. And that pretty much changed everything for me. It flipped the narrative to me to say, like, number one, that's important for me. I like traveling solo. Number two, I am fun and spontaneous, and I can go and do it and be just fine by myself.
Yeah.
So if that's something burning inside of you, I would highly, highly recommend that you find your buddy, like she said, a partner, someone to go do something with, because it's good to go by yourself. And I totally, like, if that's your jam, I'm in that jam too. But happiness is the only thing that's doubled when it's shared. And that saying is cliche, but it's so true.
I love
So
it.
true. So, well, I really appreciate you. Do you have anything else for today?
No,
No? Okay.
no.
Well, I think everyone's got some good work, because if I had to guess, a lot of people are like, well, I got to plan this and do this. Stop that. If that's what you're thinking, that's your mindfulness practice right there. When you start going into the baggage, when you start digging into the baggage, back yourself up and then kind of look at it in a different way, in a different lens, and remember who you are and that you can have fun. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you. See you
Take
guys next
care.
time. Thank you so much for listening to Mindful Talk. We don't take it lightly that you spent your time listening to our podcast, and we are forever grateful. If you'd like to support the podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a rating and a review. Welcome to a more mindful way of living and working.